Hey, I'm Mark Gilfix. I'm a partner at Gilfix and Lopole Associates. I'm here to take you through a very important and very efficient video on the basics of estate planning 101, and what you and your family need to know, what every California family needs to know. What are the things that keep you up at night? Are you worried about protecting your finances? Are you worried about your health, your future, your family's future? Do you just feel overwhelmed? This is all about taking control of what you can control. And this short video will give you the key legal planning steps that you can take to protect yourself and your family. So what am I going to cover in this quick video? The three critical documents you and your family need as part of your estate plan, the secret to protecting assets from divorce, lawsuits, and estate taxes for multiple generations. Incredible stuff. Implications of a new California law and potentially devastating property tax implications for those of you who own a house or rental property in California. I'm going to talk about quickly how you can put a plan into place, how these documents are used in emergencies, and what you need to do now to make sure you're protected. So, what do we mean by estate planning? Before I get to that, let's talk about a tale of supercharging a plan. Let's compare two different individuals and some differences in how planning can change a family's future. Larry versus Wyatt, each of them is really lucky. They each get $2 million from their parents. That's the cost of a house in many parts of California. Both of them endure divorces. Both of them get sued and lose. When Larry passes away, that $2 million that was left by his parents, it's gone. Nothing there. And of course, nothing there for his grandkids. Wyatt, same situation, inherits the same money, divorce, lawsuit as well. But when he passes away, it's $6 million for his kids. And when they pass away, it's $18 million. $18 million difference. That's what the power of estate planning. I'm going to talk about what they did differently. And I want to briefly introduce a real client story. This is Charles. It's not his real picture. Not going to reveal his full name. Charles was introduced to me by a neighbor of his. He had a multi-million dollar estate. He had millions of dollars in the bank and stocks and savings. He had a nice house in the Bay Area. He was worth over $5 million. He had a great career in the pharmaceutical industry, and he was alone. And his neighbor was a friend of his, was taking care of him here and there, and saw that his house was falling apart, saw that Charles's health was really failing and that his memory was going, lots of issues. Charles didn't have an estate plan. He had a simple will leaving money to some cousins that he wasn't even in touch with anymore. He had no other documents in place. Charles met with me. We discussed creating an estate plan. We even started the process. When we followed up with him, he didn't even remember our first meeting. His dementia issues had caused him to totally forget that we'd even started a plan. We were never able to move forward. So we had no estate planning documents in place. And what happened? Charles's health kept failing. His neighbor eventually had to call Adult Protective Services. The state of California came in. They got a court-ordered conservatorship, and a state agency took over the care of his life. He lost all decision-making ability. His assets, when he passed away, went to people he didn't even know, rather than the charities that he cared about. We talked about this. He had charitable goals. Not a penny went to charities. It all went to people he didn't even know. And he was stuck under the care of the state of California, not somewhere you want to be. So this is all about making sure that you don't fall under the trap that Charles fell into, which was having no estate plan. Just really briefly about me and our firm. I'm a partner at Gilfix and Lopole Associates. We've been in California for over 40 years. We've served thousands of clients throughout the state, from San Diego up to the northern reaches of our state. We have a proud heritage, and most importantly, we work with thousands of families. So we've seen it all, we've done it all, and we've helped so many families through this. That's what this is about, helping you to create a great plan. Now, why do you need an estate plan? It's about ensuring that you're covered in a crisis, keeping things in your family and out of the court system. And it's just ensuring that your hard-earned assets go to the ones that you love and not to the wrong people, that the assets are protected, ideally for multiple generations. And we all face crises. You know, what happens if you're in a car accident, a stroke, if you face dementia or a long-term illness? You have to be prepared. And if you're not prepared, your family may have to go to court to be able to even step in and help you. That's a terrible process. We want to keep you out of the courts. We want to keep things in the family. So a key planning step: talk with your family about this and talk to an expert attorney to make sure that you have an estate plan in place. Now, what is an estate plan made up of? Well, it's really three big documents. There's A revocable living trust, I'm going to talk about why that's more important than a will in a moment. A durable power of attorney for finances, and an advanced healthcare directive. And if you have kids and or grandkids, you need family protection trust for them. I'm going to talk about those in a moment as well. Now, revocable living trust, it has to be right for you. Don't rely on one you created 10, 15 years ago, not something you created using some software program or do-it-yourself program. It needs to be done with an expert because there are huge implications for your trust as they relate to taxes, capital gains taxes, and estate taxes. Having the wrong structure can unnecessarily expose your family to hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars in estate capital gains taxes. So you need to take a fresh look at it all the time. Now, why a trust and not just a will? I get this question all the time. Well, if you create a will and it's properly structured, when you pass away, unless you have a very small estate, if you own any property, if you have over about $150,000 in all of your assets, your estate's going to be stuck in the courts. It could be stuck for over 2 years in something called probate, where a court has to oversee the distribution of your estate. It's very expensive. It can cost tens of thousands of dollars, double or triple the cost of administering a trust, and it's totally public. When you see celebrities like James Gandolfini, star of The Sopranos, pass away, there were public articles about his estate. Why? Because he had a will and it was stuck in the court system. It takes forever, and the executor that you name can't do anything for you while you're alive. They only have a role to play after you're gone. A trust, on the other hand, keeps your assets out of the courts, in the family, no public access to see what you have and where it's going. It costs much less to administer a trust than a will, as you're not stuck in the courts. And it also allows you to name successor trustees who can step in and manage your financial affairs even while you're still living but incapacitated. So it can help you out while you're alive, and it keeps things in the family and out of the public eye after you pass away. And there's so much more we can do with trusts than we can with wills. So super crucial if you have kids, if you have any assets, to have a trust and not a will. Now, durable power of attorney. No, it is not a lame superhero. I always picture, I have power of attorney. No, that would be a very, very lame superhero. Even though I'm a lawyer, I wouldn't be that guy for Halloween. No, a durable power of attorney is simply a document where you get to name the person or the people who can step in to manage your day-to-day business of life and financial issues if you're incapacitated. Like, who can file taxes for you? Who can deal with your retirement accounts? Who can deal with government agencies on your behalf? Who can deal with day-to-day business issues if you own a business? You name someone who's called your attorney. In fact, even if you have an attorney, it's not your attorney, even though your attorney is in fact your attorney. No, it's a person you're naming to step into this role. Do not rely on just a simple check the boxes form. We meet a lot of clients. They say, well, I have a power of attorney. And we look at it and it's literally check the boxes. And that's fine for basic day-to-day issues. But if you face more challenging issues like tax issues or long-term care issues, you need a more sophisticated durable power of attorney document to be sure that if you're out of it, your loved ones can take the steps they need to protect your assets from taxes and long-term care costs. We have other webinars about this on our Gilfix Law channel. One is called How to Pay for Long-Term Care, where we go into more detail about this. But the key things needs to be more sophisticated than just check the boxes. And it needs to be updated every 3 to 5 years. Even if you're not making major changes, these are documents that are submitted to banks on your behalf. If it's old, often banks don't like to deal with them. They'll reject them. So the more recent, the better. Healthcare. What if you're in the hospital and can't make decisions for yourself? Who can step in for you? That's where an advanced healthcare directive comes in. You need to make sure you've named a trusted person and some backups to step in who you've authorized ahead of time to speak on your behalf with doctors, to make decisions, and you can communicate in these documents what you would want in really challenging situations to be sure that your loved ones don't have to make a really, really hard choice without knowing what you'd want. Again, these should be updated every 3 to 5 years so they avoid being stale. That's what we refer to older legal documents where hospitals or financial institutions don't like to accept them. They see them as stale. They're old. So you should replace this every 3 to 5 years. You should discuss this with an expert attorney as well. Now, protecting future generations, family protection trust. Now, why does Bernie Sanders want to get rid of these? Not a political statement. He's just on public record saying he doesn't think these trusts are fair. And maybe he's right. But I want you to be aware of what you can do. Now, family protection trust, generically known as dynasty trusts, have been around for a while. Ultra high net worth families have been using these for many, many years. But my firm and I think you should have the chance to do that too, whether you're high net worth or not. If you own a home in California, that justifies creating a family protection trust for your kids. You don't have to be ultra high net worth. Why would you leave assets to a family protection trust? Now imagine you have two kids, son and a daughter. Instead of leaving money to your son and your daughter, you would create a family protection trust for your son and a family protection trust for your daughter. Why would you wouldn't leave a penny to them, by the way. Why would you leave it to these trusts? Three big reasons. One, if your child endures a divorce, if they inherit the money directly, it can be commingled and lost. If it's in a family protection trust, it's separate, should not be lost in a divorce settlement to their ex. Two, if your child is sued, if they inherit the money directly, fair game in a lawsuit. If it's in a family protection trust, there's a barrier that makes it much harder for people suing your child to ever reach those inherited assets. Three, when your child passes away, and this is hard to wrap your head around, the assets in a family protection trust are not part of their taxable estate, meaning when your child passes away, the assets you left for their benefit will not be exposed to estate taxes. Now, right now, you can pass over $12 million to your kids without a penny of estate tax exposure. But this is set to drop by 50% in 2026, and it could drop much more if the law changes before or after that. And we don't know what'll happen 10, 20, 30 years from now. But why not build in protections to be sure that these assets won't be hit by the crushing 40% estate tax? And that's where you can save millions of dollars down the road for your kids, and especially really grandkids and even great grandkids. And you might think, well, this sounds cool, but I don't want to tie my kids' hands. Your kids can be the trustees of their own trusts. So you can give them this incredible structure and they can have a high level of control over these assets to support themselves and their families. So it can be win-win all around. You need to be aware of family protection trusts. Let's circle back to that mystery I talked about. Larry and Wyatt, both of them, $2 million left for their benefit. Larry, it's all gone when he passes away. Wyatt, same divorce, same lawsuit. His assets have grown, the assets for him have grown to $6 million because because a family protection trust was created for Wyatt. Larry inherited the money directly, so he lost half of it in a divorce, lost the rest in a lawsuit. Wyatt, when he got divorced, not a penny was touched because the assets were in a trust. When he was sued, not a penny was touched because it was in the trust. Assets grew during his life. They doubled and tripled because they were invested reasonably well to $6 million. When he passed away, $6 million for his kids. The trusts remain in place for his kids because these trusts last for 100 years. So his kids were protected from divorce and lawsuits, and it tripled again for his grandkids. A difference of $18 million, even when you're not starting out with that much. These are real numbers, and this has happened for some families that have created these generations ago. So you need to be aware of this. My team can help you. If you have a child with a disability, by the way, you need to create a special needs trust for that child. We have written a book about this. Michael Gilfix and I have co-authored Special Needs Trust Creation and Management Guide. It's free to our clients. It's available on Amazon. You can look it up, Gilfix Special Needs Trust. We also have many webinars on our Gilfix Law YouTube channel if you want to learn more about special needs trusts and how they work and why they're so important if you have a child with a disability. So that's another tool you need to be aware of. Now, preserving low property taxes. I'm hitting a lot of key issues here. Protecting your home and investment property from potentially 1,000 or 10,000% property tax increases. Prop 19 is a new law where protections for parent-to-child transfers have been gutted. You need to be aware of this. We have developed solutions. Check out the Gilfix Law YouTube channel for many webinars on how to preserve low property taxes. That's the key. We have tools to protect against property tax increases. It takes a lot of work. We've developed several custom Dynasty LLC approaches where properties can pass for your kids without a property tax increase. If you don't plan ahead, your kids could face property tax increases that could total hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars over time. Talk to us if you have worries about property tax increases if you own a home and or any other property in California. Now, getting these documents into place, what are some of the decisions you have to make? We have to think about your successor trustees or your backup decision makers in all of these documents. Who's going to step in as trustee for you in your power of attorney and your advance directive? Think of the most responsible, trustworthy people in your life. It doesn't have to be who you love the most, but ideally it should be a close family member, if not a very close friend. And if not, you might look to the world of trustees. This is something that we can talk to you about. Again, you need expert guidance when structuring these documents. We always recommend at least 2 backup decision-making agents in all of your documents. How do you put these into place? You have to meet with an attorney. Don't try this at home. The stakes are too high. These documents govern your entire life. Everything you work for, everything you own. These are the documents that control where they go, who can step in to oversee them if you need help. Don't take shortcuts here. We can work with people throughout the state of California using Zoom, sometimes in person. If you need expert guidance, no matter what you do, work with an expert, not someone who dabbles in this, not fill in the blanks forms. You need to work with an attorney who really focuses on estate planning. And again, you got to create the 3 documents: trust, power of attorney, advance directive. If you have kids, family protection trust, or maybe a special needs trust. When we work with clients, we meet with them, we structure the documents, we send drafts, they approve them, they sign them, and voila, they are in place. And we do recommend that you communicate with your family about this if at all possible. How are these documents actually used in an emergency? Let's say you're sick. Let's say you're in an accident. Well, in a trust, if you need help, you can always voluntarily resign if you can feel that you're going to need help, and appoint someone else to step in to manage your major financial affairs. Or if you're out of it, doctor's notes are enough to let your backup step in for your power of attorney and for your trust. So if your backup agent can show that letter of incapacity of a doctor, and that typically gives them the authority to step in. We always recommend that you preserve a lot of copies. Your loved ones are going to need to present copies to banks, to financial institutions, to government agencies. Advance directives, make copies, give them to your doctor, give them to your hospital system, make sure they have them. Keep extra copy. Now, keep them secure, but you should have copies available, and ideally backups as PDFs in a secure place. Now, what do you need to do now? Well, obviously, you need to put an estate plan into place. This is all about preserving your autonomy and your hard-earned legacy. And we always say, overcome the 3 Ds. The danger of delay and denial. Don't be an ostrich. Don't put your head in the sand. We hear this from clients all the time. Well, sometimes non-clients. Kids won't get divorced. It's fine. Well, check in 10 years and see how it's going. I'll get to this later. I'll put this off. I'll do it in 2024. Whatever. Don't wait. There's no benefit to waiting. Some clients, I'm not going to die. Hey, and if you can figure out immortality, please let me know. But unfortunately, as far as I know, we're all eventually going to kick the bucket. Have these documents into place, and don't rely on the fact that you did documents years ago. You need to update them every few years, or at least take a fresh look. And don't be that person who says, I'm not going to talk to a lawyer. Because believe me, if you don't talk to a lawyer now, your family's going to have to talk to a lot of lawyers later. So minimize lawyer involvement by working with an expert up front. Of course, we can help you with that, and we can keep unnecessary lawyers out of your family's life in the future. Stay tuned for more webinars. You can subscribe to our Gilfix Law YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like, share this to anybody who needs to know this. Don't miss this opportunity to protect your assets and retain control over your life and your purpose. Of course, my team at Gilfix and the Pole Associates can help you. I can help you. Other attorneys on our team, we all work together. And we, of course, invite you, if you want to work with us, if you need to take that fresh look, contact us, www.gilfix.com, 650-493-8070. Gilfix.com, you can just find the contact us. We also have a page, gilfix.com/my-needs. Either way, contact us if you think we can help. We've helped so many families with this, but tragically, we see so many situations where no plan is in place, and that's where things get really bad. So take control of your life, take control of your autonomy, and make sure your hard-earned assets are protected. I'm Mark Gilfix. I hope everybody's staying safe, sane, and healthy, as my mom likes to say. And again, I hope you got a lot out of this video. Please share it if you found it useful. Stay well.